We are back with Josef J. of PwnDAO to speak about mortgages for crypto natives. So take it away, Josef. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Lovely to be back in Berlin. It's great to see another DappCon happening. So my name is Josef, and I'm going to be talking about what we built at Pwn, and specifically about a use case which is kind of a holy grail for us. So who am I? I guess I'm in crypto for quite a while. I got aware of Bitcoin originally through Silk Road. And I don't say this because I would like to flex, like, look at me, how long I know about Bitcoin, because I wasn't really in crypto back then. But I mention it for one reason, which is I was a Silk Road user. I used to buy drugs online, and crypto was the way that enabled it. And I think it should be fine to talk about it. I think, occasional or theoretical usage of psychedelics should be normalized. And I actually believe that if more people tried psychedelics, we would be living in a much happier society. So that's point number one. But I've been around a couple of communities. I've been part of the Institute of Crypto Anarchy in Prague, which you might have heard of. I've been working with the Ethereum Foundation for the last 4 years. I also, with Mario, who created the Bordel.wtf merge tracker, we started Bordel Hackerspace in Prague. So if you are in Prague, please stop by and say hi. And finally, since last year, I've been working on Pwn, which is a generalized lending and borrowing protocol for any token on Ethereum. So today, I'm not going to talk about Pwn, but about a much larger topic. So I would like to start with a short intro. What are mortgages? What are mortgages good for? Who are crypto natives? Then if you've been to ETC in Paris, you might have seen the talk Crypto Native Economy, so I'm going to do a quick refresh on that. Then I want to talk about the issue of how does a crypto native get a mortgage, because it's not as easy unless you've been lucky and you've made it. And then I'm going to do a little show of Pwn, but it won't be too heavy. So what's a mortgage? You can find basically two definitions online, one of which says it's a pledge which runs until you're dead, which is kind of the sad one. The other one, and the correct one, is a pledge which disappears upon repayment or default. And most of the borrowings and loans in crypto kind of behave that way, because all of them are over-collateralized. You've seen it with the recent crashes of BlockFi and Celsius and these projects, which didn't have clean books. But the DeFi protocols all worked. I mean, the debts in crypto so far don't overflow into your regular life, which can happen if you get a regular loan. You can fall into this spiral of debt if you can't repay. But mortgages are kind of fine. Those have a default option, or you can just repay them and be gone. Also, mortgages traditionally are used in the context of real estate financing. So I guess most of you are pretty familiar with the concept. You can get 5, 10, 15, maybe 30-year term contract, and basically purchase something that you otherwise wouldn't be able to with your regular income, and you can repay it over the years. And if you stop paying, you basically just lose the item and lose the deposit. So it's a pretty known concept. There are differences between countries and jurisdictions, but I guess the baseline is pretty similar everywhere. Who are crypto natives? Now I can't quite see you, but I'd be interested to hear from you who, if you feel you're a crypto native, could you please raise your hand? All right, we are getting into majority here. When I started with the talk, we've seen 20% of the folks. But this is my attempt for definition. And for me, a crypto native is someone who has been living the crypto dream, or like has been living in the crypto context. So has significant holdings in crypto in terms of like the net worth. Let it be coins, tokens, NFTs, you name it. But crypto natives tend to look at these assets as valuable and want to generally accumulate those. As an avid DeFi user, I don't think that if you only use like Bitcoin for like hodling or occasional payments, it doesn't really make you a crypto native. Makes you an enthusiast, but I think there is like more needed for you to actually like live the dream of financial freedom. One significant point is that crypto natives don't understand the concept of bank holidays. It has been always kind of a mystery to me why transfers don't happen over weekends, or why does it take like 3 days in the 21st century. So I guess like most people in Ethereum, or just a generalized like blockchain space, tend to be crypto natives. Some Bitcoiners may fall under the definition, but most that basically just sit on Bitcoin and wait for it to rise, like are not crypto natives, in my opinion. What's a crypto native economy? So I've tried to kind of look at what's the actual like economic demand for using on-chain space and paying transactions on-chain. So the whole distinction of like mortgages for crypto natives combines two things. Combines this like sphere of like people who are in crypto and just like trade crypto regularly or use it, and people who are kind of still in the mindset of like getting a regular paycheck in your bank account and just getting like doing the regular thing, just having a regular job, getting paid regularly. But crypto natives like would tend to be employed by DAO, just like earn crypto, don't really need a bank account for a good part of what they do. So I try to like filter out everything from the entire like blockchain economy and just focus on things that happen on chain. So if you look at simple like, and now this is just Ethereum mainnet. If you look at just how much money is paid in transaction fees, so in the past 12 months, the value that was burned for transactions or like paid to miners or burned, this doesn't include block rewards, was something over $10 billion. If you look at the protocols that are on-chain that actually are smart contracts and just accumulate fees on-chain, which doesn't involve like any software as a service products and that kind of stuff. So this is like only the stuff that happens on chain. We are looking at another like $13.4 billion. These are things like ENS fees, OpenSea fees, because those also happen on chain, Uniswap liquidity provider fees, and so on. So all in all, like we are looking at something for the benefit of the DAO, we'll tend to round the numbers, but we are looking at something over like $20 billion in on-chain demand. And to me, like I think it's actually like a lower bound of what the crypto native economy really is, but it's already something you can build on top of. So now we are looking at like roughly $20 billion that are like purely crypto native, that don't require like any off-chain stuff, that don't require having a bank account, and can solely live in crypto. So what's the problem of like crypto natives getting a mortgage? I think there are multiple lenses you can look at the problem. So the first one would be social. The social issue is that banks hate us. So if you are in crypto, if you don't have a regular working contract, you work for a DAO, you earn your money, or like even if you have a contract and you are paid in crypto, let it be even stable coins, that's not enough. If you come to a bank and say like, hey, I have a decent income, could I get a mortgage? For the bank, you don't have anything. Unless there is money actually flowing into your bank account, it's not good enough. And this was exactly my case. I came to a bank, getting into 30s. I was like, I shouldn't probably just bank on crypto being big. I should probably, buy a house. or flat or whatnot. I came to a bank and said, hey, I have a contract. I'm an adult now. I'm making money, so could I get a mortgage? And I can prove all of the transactions happen. I can print out the list of transactions, and you can verify them as you want. I can sign anything. And the guy started laughing at me. It was like, well, you don't actually have an income. Like, to us, like, you're a person who is like high risk, doesn't have an income, and all you have is imaginary money. So yeah, well, if you are in crypto, you're probably also having issues with like all of the AML stuff. Even though like you don't do anything shady, just the mere fact that you're touching crypto already kind of puts you into the box of like that person can't be trusted. Well, we can say like banks hate us and we can hate them back, but well, the issue really is like all of these assets are novel. There's like high risk associated in them, and therefore, they are not like easy to reason about, and like banks won't consider your NFTs to be valuable. The next issue is, well, we have a generational gap. Millennials are screwed. Like, millennials are the biggest productive cohort or productive demographic worldwide, although they're also the smallest in terms of the net worth that they possess. This is natural, right? Like, people live longer, people tend to like keep their wealth, but it also creates like these issues that we are seeing today with the housing market, where like millennials can really afford their own homes, unless they have like super above average income, or unless they inherited like a lot of money or made it in crypto. But if you're a millennial and you want to get a mortgage, well, yeah, you will have a tough time. And that's not just millennials. This will only get worse. So millennials, Gen Zs, and I think this is also bound to who are the crypto natives. Like, those are the people like looking for alternatives and like being born into a setup where you actually have like options of choosing a bank account or just doing things the crypto way, because what the fuck are bank holidays? The next issue is economical. So mortgages move market prices. Over 80% of all of the real estate purchases are made through mortgage financing. So if like, there's only like 20% of the real estate that really is being paid in cash, which is like companies or just high net worth individuals. But otherwise, like being a regular person, you'll actually have to get a mortgage in order to get real estate. Now, if you're a crypto native and you were lucky and made it, now you're facing another issue. So, well, you won't get the mortgage because you didn't have the proof income. You might have made it in crypto, but now you will have to choose. You may keep the crypto and just like wish for the best and wish that you will make enough to be able to make the purchase of a house and like won't worry about it. Or you will have to sell your crypto and tax it, and then like go and pay for the house in cash. But doing that means that you're essentially just losing exposure to the asset of the future. This is like you're kind of betraying your own faith into this new ecosystem taking over the financial industry. So it's a tough choice. Like, today you cannot really like back your mortgage with crypto. And again, it relates to the social issue. Pricing of these assets is hard. So, until today, all of the loans that we saw in DeFi all of them are over collateralized. You've seen like liquidation spikes because all of these systems are kind of still adjusting to what's happening in the market. Then there's a technological issue. So, you have a lot of DeFi protocols now. But they mostly work on kind of a whitelisted pooled model where you have to do a lot of due diligence before you allow using a particular asset as collateral. And you need like large pools of liquidity for those systems to work. Then you also have like the requirement for tooling. So if you actually wanted to just build a generalized lending protocol where you would allow like literally anything to be used as collateral, you would need to have this like on-chain Oracle setup so you can like liquidate and you can protect the lenders. which again is related to the pricing. And finally, like if you're, if you wanted to actually build a mortgage service for a crypto native and allowing crypto natives to use their digital assets as backing for something that lasts like 5, 10, 15 years, you'd be looking at like locking a tremendous amount of value in just a black hole. And you wouldn't actually be able to use those assets because like what you're currently seeing is that the DeFi lending and borrowing just means like locking those assets in some pool. And if it's actually, if it's not actually like managed by like an admin key, then well, yeah, it just sits in a black pit. If it's not actual DeFi and it's just like a random like staking collective or whatnot, you're actually risking those assets if you use them as collateral. So you cannot really have your cake and eat it too. You cannot use those assets while those are being used. And it wouldn't really be practical to lock something for as long and not be able to use it. So finally getting to the shilling part, so we built Pawn as basically like a pawn shop for any token. And I hope like things will start actually coming together. But what we want to do with Pawn is allowing people that are crypto natives who hold digital assets not to have to make the tough choice of actually having to sell them. We want to allow 5, 10, 50-year term mortgages and loans which don't have exposure to price-based liquidations, where the lenders actually take risks and behave as regular like mortgage providers, where you can use those assets while they're locked, where you can literally use any token which has a market, which doesn't require a whitelist, it doesn't require someone else like approving that you can use the thing that you feel is valuable and other people feel is valuable as collateral. And yeah, this is what we are building towards. So today, what we have is essentially a generalized peer-to-peer lending protocol where you can use any ERC20, 721, or 1155 token as collateral, and you can get a loan in any ERC20. There's no whitelist, there's no liquidation risk because it's like literally super simple. You either default or you pay back. It's a mortgage type of setup. Today, all of these are short-term, and most of the borrowers are using Pawn for speculations. But again, we want to build something which is stable enough where you can set up a loan for lasting like 5 years, 10 years, and you can actually do something feasible with that. It's all fixed cost, fixed interest, although there will be like sub-products where you will be able to adjust these things. And of course, thanks to off-chain sign blocks and these kind of stuff that became popular and also useful lately, you only need one transaction, so there isn't really like a huge difference between using a pooled protocol and a peer-to-peer one. So some of the cases where you can already use like valuable NFTs such as like Bored Apes or nouns or whatnot. Recently, we had a first Cloud Nation-based bond issued on Pawn, which is Nation Tree token. Again, all of those are super short-term, and like you can say, well, 100K in a loan isn't really like something I could buy a house for. Well, maybe not in Germany, maybe not in the Western Hemisphere, but basically in any other country in the world, you can already buy a pretty decent home with being lucky once and having like a valuable NFT. So what we are building towards is these long-term mortgages, and we have a bunch of tooling for that as well. So a thing that we'll be releasing at DappCon is a self-custody wallet where you can basically keep the collateral or use the items that you use as collateral while those are being used for backing the loan. We have token bundlers where you can essentially build like diversified bundles of whatever assets that you have. which again helps you to diversify risks. And we have a bunch of more coming. It's super simple. You just combine, in the case of DeFi mortgage, super simple. You just essentially have an offer on pawn for a particular collateral. You have a borrower that comes with a deposit, and let's say they want to buy a piece of decentralized land. And again, you just use smart contracts. So you basically just, in one transaction, you combine the deposit with the lending offer. You buy the item, you lock it in the self-custody wallet, so the borrower can still use it. And the lender ends up with an over-collateralized loan with a 50% loan-to-value. That's completely up to the lender. And you basically establish a DeFi mortgage, which can be repaid against the digital asset. And if you can do this with digital land, you can also pretty easily do this with using a basket of digital assets, taking a stablecoin loan, going and buying real estate, and then just repay your 10-year mortgage against the digital assets instead of repaying it against the real estate, which is the thing that you would otherwise do in the real world. So what we are building next, we are switching into DAO. So currently the protocol is live, is audited. It doesn't have any fees, but we'll be establishing a DAO which will govern the protocol and eventually will become a lending union for creating these loans to other crypto natives. And there will be a whole bunch of other features as gradual payments and perpetual loans where you can swap the collateral or the loan amount. And finally, where we want to get in like 5 to 10 years is enabling crypto natives not to have to sell their crypto and literally just use their digital assets the same way people out there can use their real estate or traditional art and get loans against those, because those are much easier to price or are just like well established, I guess. But in crypto, we'll just have to do it ourselves. So that's a quick roadmap. If anyone has any ideas on the topic, I would surely want to talk to you, so please come to me later. And I'm already over time, so just going to make this quick. Quick summary. I think crypto natives made this market, and we should build services for crypto natives. I think we are past the point where we should worry about adoption. Sure, I mean, education is important, and we should be allowing other people to enter crypto, but we are already at the stage where the crypto native economy is big enough for us to start building for the community itself. And I also think we are at the stage of now they're fighting us, and I think all of the regulations coming in and all of the hardened AML stuff just shows that the next stage is for crypto to win finally. And yeah, this was it. I think there should be a poll up there. I'm not quite sure, but thank you for listening. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any questions?
What do you think BendDAO did wrong that you're improving on?
So BendDAO was pool-based. I mean, they basically used the, I guess, regular like lending setup where you just create a pool of the assets and you make it easy for the lenders and borrowers to get loans or use capital to back those loans, but it creates systemic risk, and it just creates a setup where the loans aren't isolated, so you get much larger ripple effect, and what you saw there was basically the collateral not being really wanted by anyone, so the protocol. Just created, in my opinion, just created the impression that it's super safe because there is a liquidation based on pricing, but once you don't have the market for those liquidations, it's not really used for, it's not really useful for the lenders. So what we are doing differently is that our protocol is strictly peer-to-peer. Of course, you can have DAOs on both sides of the loan, but we don't promise you that we are going to liquidate the position and that we are going to pay you back as a lender. You know the risk up front, and that's what you set the desired interest or loan to value based on. So we're basically telling you, well, as a lender, you should know that this is risky and this may default on you, and therefore you set the loan-to-value in a way where that risk is reflected.
Is it quick?
All right.
Yeah.
Quick one here. Thanks for the presentation. Have you guys explored integrating a renting system for all the NFTs that are used as collateral?
Not really. So we are focused on rather on the opposite case, where you want to get a loan against something, but you still want to use it as the borrower. Yeah, we don't really have any access to anything that touches the vault. So we didn't want to create more exposure for those assets that should be stable backing loans to any other use, unless it's the borrower who uses them.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.